So thank you very much for your time and being here. I would like to also thank our ICLEI Korea office for organizing this and for having us and our cities also. And here today we would like to share with you what we are doing in our ICLEI Europe office. We've been working on AI for several years already, of course, on a learning process, because this is something that has emerged in the last few years. And of course, as ICLEI, we need to cope with it, with the different advances that are going on this type of technology, but especially to understand how AI can bring benefits and accelerate action, climate action on a city level. So I will briefly cover today 4 things. First of all, I will share, of course, what is the green, digital, and AI ecosystem in Europe. I think that is very important for us to situate us in this stage. And then I will share some examples of AI for climate action in cities, some basic concepts of AI from an environmental perspective. And we will share some examples of ICLEI Europe work on AI as a pre-step before we hear directly from the cities what they are doing. I will finish with a final reflection of what is next, because we need to really be prepared for this full transformation that is coming. And yes, so just to let you know that in Europe, the green and digital transformation and the AI landscape and ecosystem is we can cluster it, or we have to understand it within 3 main policy frameworks that are happening in Europe. So the first is the European Green Deal. Probably you have heard about it. So it's the European policy that wants and aims to bring Europe to be the first climate neutral continent of the world. And within the EU Green Deal, we cover all the topics of sustainability, climate neutrality, mobility, environmental quality, pollution. So it's everything that has to do with environmental sustainability is covered under the EU Green Deal. On the other side, we have a specific program from the European Commission on the digital Europe. So everything that has to do with digitalization is set in order not only for cities but also for member states to gather and to materialize the benefits of digitalizations, especially everything that has to do with data spaces, how to manage data that is generated everywhere. There's a very strong stream of digital twins development in Europe. And at the end, the cities in Europe, and especially the cities that have been working on the smart city space, looks towards this technology of the cityverse. We know that here in Korea, Seoul, for example, is working already on the cityverse. In Europe, we are starting to think about it. And finally, this is one of the most important things that has now set the basis for developing AI solutions in Europe, which is the EU Artificial Intelligence Act. This act is the regulatory framework that defines the boundaries of how AI can be used and developed in Europe. This was approved in August this year, so we are starting to work and understand on it. But what I wanted to show you here is that the Artificial Intelligence Act aims to promote artificial intelligence as a key enabler for development and also sustainability in Europe, but it established a risk-based approach. So it is also acknowledged the risks that AI can bring for all European citizens, and also for the technologies that are, even if they are not developed in Europe, they have to meet some regulations. So there are 4 levels of risks that have been identified in the EU Artificial Intelligence Act. The minimal risk applications that can be used by everyone and don't pose any risk to respecting the rights of European citizens. We have the ones on limited risk, we have the ones on high risk, and the ones that have an unacceptable risk. You cannot see here in the graph, probably so small, but these are technologies, artificial technology models and algorithms that cannot be used in Europe. For example, the ones that have to do with social scoring, for example, okay? So this is something that, as I said, we have clear rules to really work on AI. And this is also, we need to reflect how this is going to impact city developments on AI. So we also understand that when we talk about digitalization and AI, in cities, there's a lot of opportunities. In this slide, we can see some examples of how digital technologies, AI-driven technologies also, can help cities in advancing the climate neutrality and overall sustainability challenges. So we have services already for integrated urban planning, clean energy development, nature-based solutions development for resilience, for circular economy. So we have technologies already that are there and being used by cities to drive a more accelerated sustainability action. But the question is how AI fits into this project. So into this process. So there's an interesting a report by the Boston Consulting Group released early this year that has been a specific a survey to leaders on the corporate and also the public sector, but maybe the corporate sector, asking to them, what is the potential of AI for climate action specifically? And here you can see what they say, that everybody thinks that AI can really be helpful for climate action, especially here you can see in the top for the mitigation side. But when we talk about climate adaptation, this is not so well identified, okay? So one important thing of this other graph is that the solutions for AI for climate action can cover mitigation, adaptation, but also is what the Boston Consulting firm mentions, that is foundational capability. So it really can help leaders and practitioners to really change the way we work, okay? And how to address climate change from a different perspective. Here I have just put another important number here, that AI has the potential, according to the same study, that it is able to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions on a 5 to 10% by 2030, which is equivalent to the emissions that the European Union emits every year. So we are talking about a huge amount of CO2 emissions, but how this really fits into the city arena, and this is something that we need to reflect. And we cannot also forget the environmental impacts of AI. So you have heard in the last few months also that there's this topic on how much energy or how much water artificial intelligence consumes. This is something that is in the arena. So just to let you know that there's very few research and studies about this, okay? So we have found this information, especially on AI, when we talk about the models, the algorithms, training those models, they consume a lot of energy and a lot of water, especially from the data centers that host these models development, okay? So according to the International Energy Agency, the electricity consumption from data centers, artificial intelligence, and the cryptocurrency sector could double by 2026. We're talking a lot of energy, and I was discussing with Gina also in terms of what is this energy consumption on emissions, okay? So it depends on the location, of course, but depending on the location and the part of the world, greenhouse gas emissions also from the data centers that operate machine learning or other AI models consume a lot of energy, hence developing a lot of emissions. How much? There are some reports that say that it's about 1% of the global emissions. So we are talking about a lot of emissions, but it's very important that we really find the right numbers and how to translate this on a city level. It's not the same here in Gyeonggi province than in Ireland, for example, where Facebook and the big companies have their data centers there. But we have to be very careful when we talk about the numbers, because there is very few studies on it at this moment. One message that we also would like to transmit to you when we talk about AI, climate action, and environmental sustainability is that we have to see it that the benefits of AI for the sustainability probably are more than the ones that the environmental impacts that it can have. There is literature on that also, and there is a very interesting study by Gartner, the industry analyst firm that published this document this year, saying that the impacts of AI in the different components of sustainability, like biodiversity, energy and carbon markets, climate change resiliency and sustainability accountability, we have to see it from a twofold perspective. On the one side, AI being the accelerator to gather all the potential of the technology. It can be an inhibitor. It means that it can harm the environment, or it can be both. It can help, but also has the negative side. So in this graph, you can see here that when we talk about biodiversity, AI can really help on processes like biodiversity accounting, assessing all the indicators that are now in the nature positive concept that is now being developed by the experts on the biodiversity field. Then when we talk about energy and carbon markets, of course, AI can help to address and do traceability of carbon credits, for example. Energy consumption, as you see here, is an inhibitor, so we have to take care of the energy consumption that is being consumed by the data centers or other technologies. And it can also help energy management in a specific sector, buildings, energy, and also transport. When we talk about climate resilience, this report mentions that AI can support climate adaptation of people and populations, can enhance better urban planning. So we have to always see the two sides, how it is going to be assess the positive side, but also the negative side. And finally, on sustainability accounting, it can also help to generate a stakeholder trust, and of course, to have a visibility of the resource efficiency and the use of resources. So this is, of course, how can I say, an initial overview of this understanding of AI sustainability from another perspective. But when we talk about climate action, we have to see, of course, energy, carbon markets, and climate change resilience. So what is going on in the cities nowadays? And this is now going to the topic itself. So in the experience that we have had in Europe, we have seen, like in the climate change field, on the mitigation and adaptation side, several technologies, AI technologies in these fields that you can see here. So in the mitigation side, for sustainable energy systems, sustainable mobility and buildings energy efficiency especially, and for the adaptation side, especially in flood forecasting, weather prediction, and fire detection. But one thing that we have found with the cities that we work on a day-to-day basis and our partners is that AI is not the magic wand. So, and they say that AI is not it cannot be used for everything. Sometimes even there's no need to use AI. So it's very important that cities understand, and we also as city networks understand, what are the real AI use cases that needs to be done. Okay, so I think that's the time. No? That, okay, good. So, and then also just briefly to mention, in ICLEI Europe, we work in different digital and green projects. We have been working for many years in the Smart Cities EU Research and Innovation project with lots of cities in Europe. We work with different organizations and companies on fostering tools for data, for decision making. We have several agreements, several projects there. And regarding AI, we have several projects that those are the ones that we will hear today. So first, we have the AI4Cities project. That was the first project on AI that we had in ICLEI. We were very lucky to be part of this. We will hear later from Kaisa from the city of Helsinki how it works. And I also would like to share with you the ICLEI Action Fund, which is another project that also we've been working on AI. So the ICLEI Action Fund is a project that we do with the support of Google.org. We've been working in this project for almost 4 years. We have 3 editions of the ICLEI Action Fund, so we are able to fund different data-driven and environmental climate action projects in cities in Europe. That are not developed by cities, in cities with the support of non-profit organizations. They are projects focusing on climate action and environmental quality. We have funded so far 16 projects. 6 of them have ended already. The first edition, Action Fund 1, has ended. And we have funded around 11 million euros in projects of these types, and we are encouraging to these projects to use public and private data sources. There's a lot of data there, so we want that these projects take this data and use it for developing solutions. The projects also are very interesting because they have to be aligned with local climate and sustainability plans. So this is a very interesting way. These projects are very short implementation time. The projects have to be developed in 2 years. So this has helped us also to understand fast how AI can really be harnessed for this type of projects. So now, as I said before, we have 16 projects. Now we have 10 projects running. Here you can see the map across Europe. From the 10 projects that are running now, 6 of those have the AI component. And this is something that for us has been amazing to learn and understand from them how AI can really be used in the different topics. So we cover all type of topics, so climate adaptation and resilience, sustainable energy development, air quality management, and specifically sustainable mobility. So we are happy to have a battery of projects. We will hear later on from Stockholm, with KTH, the Royal Institute of Technology. They are also connected and they will share also the project. But just to let you know that this is also a learning process for us, because we have in ICLEI not worked so many AI projects, but now we have some projects. So 3 projects that I invite you please we will share all this information and the presentation. I would like to mention 3 projects. The project with Barcelona, in Barcelona City Council, together with the NGO EcoSurveys, is a project that is developing an AI vulnerability map that assesses the energy-related climate vulnerability per a district level in Barcelona. So with the data that the city has on housing, type of building, social, and also the energy consumption of the building and the vulnerability of the citizens, they are able to identify which citizens in the city are facing energy poverty episodes, okay? So they are working on this. This is a project that is running now. It's in half of the implementation. The Stockholm project, the DG Climate City, we will hear about it later, is an AI chatbot, this famous chatbot. So they are helping, is an AI-driven energy advisor model that is helping citizens in specific buildings to make better decisions on their energy consumption. And then we have, this is the newest project that we have, which is the Dryads project in Athens. That is an AI model that helps the city to do fire detection and analysis of how the fire will propagate in the city. This is one of its kind project, and it aims to help the city in Athens and also the surrounding cities to make better informed decisions when fires start, okay? So these are the projects that we have, and as I said before, we will hear later from Stockholm, but all the other projects also you can read in the ICLEI Europe website. And then the second project and the last one that I would like to mention briefly is the AI4Cities project. As I said before, this was the first city that helped ICLEI understand the AI topic. It was an European project working with leading European cities on the technology side. We work with Helsinki. We have here our colleague that is going to present Amsterdam, Copenhagen, Paris, Stavanger, and Tallinn, to identify solutions and suppliers on AI solutions to accelerate carbon neutrality. So this project is already ended, but the results of the project continue. That is amazing. We will hear also later how this has been used in Helsinki. And we would like to do one video, and then we will continue. The video will be now. Do I have to press, or you will put it? You, okay. CO2 is a huge problem everywhere, with its reason since European cities surge with population. The mobility in energy generated during distribution in the Western European cities, the average is 84%. This is where we have to focus on, to find innovation to support the transition to carbon neutrality. Furthermore, we harness AI to help with this transition. All So as I said before, this project was, can you go back please to my slide? Yeah, I would just like to do the final slide and then I will give the floor to Kaisa. Yeah. So that one thing that when we were doing the slides and discussing with our colleagues in the ICLEI Korea office is that what is next? And we are here also in the Gyeonggi province listening how the province is thinking forward on AI. So we were reflecting of what is next for cities when we talk about AI. So here are some 6 reflections that we would like to share with you. Of course, we need to acknowledge the AI environmental and sustainability impacts in cities. We know that there are impacts that need to be addressed. Of course, environmental, but also everything has to do with data privacy. It's a challenge that we need to address. We also think that it's important that we build the AI skills and capacity on the city officials. We don't want the city officials to fear AI. We want them to understand them so we can then find the right solutions that the city needs, especially for climate action. We also think that it's important to bring AI climate action models beyond only climate action. There's a new tendency of using AI models for biodiversity, for example, or for environmental quality management. So we have to think beyond climate action. We need also, and cities need to work to exploit and use existing data sources. There's a lot of data sources already there. The engagement with the private sector, this is something that us and ICLEI in general, not only in Europe, but across the world, we think that it's crucial to understand the technology to work with the private sector. And of course, sharing experiences on best practices on AI, like this workshop. So we are super happy to be here, and hopefully we will learn from each other how to advance in this AI journey. So that's all on my side. The time, I hope it was good. So thank you very much, and we look forward to hear from the next speaker. Thank you.